Okay, this is the second video on creating HMIs. We've created an application. We've produced a runtime or MER file now. We have two options. We could choose to transfer that MER to a real-world panel view. So that's a industrial unit that's probably touchscreen that's used as a panel view. We would go in here, choose the MER file. This is in the transfer utility. Once you choose your MER, I guess I have to do that to get the options. There we are. Once you choose that, you can then say run at startup. You can say replace communications, and then you just choose the panel view that you want to send it to. In our case, we don't have a panel view connected, so what we are going to do is not transfer it, but run it locally on this machine using another piece of software called RSView Studio Machine Edition. And that software and this software don't coexist or run well together, so what we need to do is close this software, and then we're able to go in and open the new panel view software, and here it is here, Factory Talk View ME Station. That's going to make this whole computer appear to be an HMI station. And what you see coming up now is exactly what would be on a real-world panel view. This software basically simulates that, so all of these steps would be exactly the same. When you come in, you can change settings like IP addresses and subnets and a whole bunch of refresh rates. What we want to do is load an application, choose the most current MER file that we've produced. So there could be 5 or 6 of these. If you haven't been overwriting, make sure that you take your most current MER file, or any changes you've made won't be transferred, and say that you want to use this file with its existing communication. So replace what was in there, and it will load that up. This is exactly what it would do on a traditional or a normal panel view, and what it's doing is loading those drivers, those communication settings, and we now have the ability to run our HMI screen. And there it is. If I open up the PLC, you'll see that I'm online currently. This is the rung I've created. If I open the panel view, if I click on the push button on the PLC online, I'm actually controlling an output. Right? So, and you could have bar graphs and inputs and indicators and multiple screens, and I mean, now the sky's the limit. When you're done, you need to, and this is why we needed this button, you need to go back to config to get out. Without that button, you'd have to reboot or use Task Manager to get out. Once you hit go to config, that default screen comes back up. Once that screen comes up, you can choose to exit this ME software and then reopen the Studio software, make changes, create a new runtime, and then that new runtime, you would have to open this back up again and run it, and go back and forth until you get the HMI looking the way you want it. Of course, be sure you create a new runtime each time, and this must be fully shut down for the other stuff to run properly. They use a lot of the same servers and a lot of the same drivers, and there tends to be conflicts if you try to run the HMI software and the Studio software at the same time. So that's a simple HMI. From there, you should be able to just repeat the steps. The big difference being, I guess, when you open it back up. So if I wanted to make a change now to my HMI, if I come in here and said reopen Factory Talk View Studio, when it opens this time, I don't want to create a new application. I want to open the existing application, make my changes, create a new runtime, close it down, and then reopen it in ME and see if I'm happy with the new HMI. Unfortunately, what we haven't done is save it. It's a bit of a unique system. You have to have all the software closed, and then you can go into Tools, Application Manager, and this is basically the file, the HMI file, the raw file, exists on this computer, and what we need to do is to back it up. We need to compress it and save it to our memory key. It would remain on my computer, but the problem is the lab computers are frozen, and when you reboot them, you're going to lose everything. So before you're done, and maybe even a couple times along the way, it'd be worthwhile coming in saying I want to manage a machine edition application. Then it'll say what do you want to do, and I can choose either to back it up or restore it. So if I had it on my memory key and I wanted to move it to the computer to work on it, like Next Lab, you'll restore an application. At the end of today, we're going to do a backup application. Then you would simply choose the HMI you wish to back up, pick the spot that you want to back it up to. I'd strongly recommend that you create a separate folder and put everything in there. Back it up to there and nothing else. It's very easy. There's a lot of files for graphics and images. If something gets lost or corrupt, the whole thing doesn't work, believe it or not. Yeah, and then you would just say finished and it would create the backup for you. And that is the process of transferring and running an HMI screen. If there's anything I've missed when we get to the lab, I will do my best to clean that up there.